It's like, ooh, we're not about the male gaze, but we really are about the male gaze.
So a few days ago, Katy Perry made her latest comeback with her single and accompanying music video entitled Woman's World, which is I guess supposed to be a feminist pop anthem, as it includes the lyrics, "She's a winner, champion, superhuman, number one, she's a sister, she's a mother, open your eyes, just look around and you'll discover, you know it's a woman's world, and you're lucky to be living in it." The music video, according to her, is satire, and in a tweet she wrote, "You can do anything, even satire." Perry describes the first part of the music video as being kind of on the nose, in that the girls are all glossed up and in revealing clothing, but how they're also ironically feminists and don't care about the male gaze while simultaneously pandering to it. She says that in the second part of the video, a real feminist revolution happens and she illustrates a world where women are actually empowered and doing what they want to do, but the world is also falling apart. I read somewhere that it's supposed to be like an ironic dystopia showing the right's worst fears if liberals and women do ever run the world, like making fun of how their fears aren't actually scary, like gay men kissing and women pulling monster trucks and playing board games in cat onesies, but some of the imagery to me is just random. For example, this woman can't get a cell phone signal, so she climbs up a lamppost in despair. How is that a woman's world? I guess it could be making fun of girl bosses in the corporate world, but I don't know. One image I rolled my eyes at was this yassified bejeweled uterus prop. A lot of the music video came off to me as essentializing women's bodies and not feminist at all. Like, women are more than just mothers and sisters, and not all women have uteruses, and that's okay. I guess that could be part of the satire, like making fun of that kind of stuff, like the way women are held up in society as moral compasses, as these superhumans who can and should do everything and still look great. But in reality, they're just regular people who don't exist to save the world. But the lyrics of the song and most of the visuals never really challenge those ideas. If anything, the lyrics of the song are to be taken at face value. Women are number one. They're superheroes, superhuman, mothers, daughters, sisters, etc. Someone also pointed out how it's odd that in a video about a woman's world, they couldn't even have two women kissing, but I guess lesbian kissing to Katy Perry would be too male gazy. But it's like, Katy Perry, do you even know what the male gaze is? That's honestly the part of the video's explanation that got to me the most, because it seems to be one of the most misunderstood terms in pop feminist discourse today. So in this video, we're going to go through some examples of feminist satire in popular mainstream culture and why they often fall flat, and how Katy Perry's newest venture with Dr. Luke really illustrates how some women really don't give a fuck about Me Too, and how frustratingly futile fourth wave feminism feels. And before we start, I just want to say thank you so much for 10 million channel views and 150,000 subscribers, and a huge thank you to my patrons and to my first few subscribers for believing in me. I'm so glad you're all enjoying the videos I worked so hard on. So this video is kind of a departure from my more recent content about politics and is more about pop culture and celebrity, so I hope you can indulge me in this little venture as we go through feminist satire and popular mainstream culture, starting with Katy Perry. And remember that these are just my opinions and observations. Art is subjective and everyone will have different takeaways, so I'd love to know what you all think about all of this down below. So without further ado, let's go. Part 1. The Male Gaze, Katy Perry, and Satire. The male gaze, to those who are unfamiliar, was introduced by British feminist film theorist and filmmaker Laura Mulvey in her 1975 essay Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, in which she asserts that women in film are presented to appease the presumed straight male viewer. Women are decorations, accessories, objects simply to be gazed upon, while the men do the gazing, whether as directors, actors, or audience members. What they deem attractive in a woman is how the women are displayed. Rather, as autonomous human beings and equal subjects, they simply exist as objects for visual pleasure. And this goes beyond just movies and TV shows, but in media in general, in advertisements, commercials, on news broadcasts, sports games, etc. The patriarchal world we live in is crafted so that straight men are catered to subjects and women are objects. There's also, of course, the internalized male gaze and how that works in the real world, not just in print or in film strips. For example, when we as women look at ourselves, many times we can't see ourselves outside of what men would find attractive or unattractive. We can't see ourselves for who we really are, outside of being an object to be ogled at by straight men. As Margaret Atwood wrote in The Robber Bride, male fantasies is everything run by male fantasies. Up on a pedestal or down on your knees, it's all male fantasies. fantasy, that you're strong enough to take away what they dish out, or else too weak to do anything about it. Even pretending you aren't catering to male fantasies is a male fantasy. Pretending you're unseen, pretending you have a life of your own, that you can wash your feet and comb your hair, unconscious of the ever-present watcher peering through the keyhole in your own head, if nowhere else. You are a woman with a man inside watching a woman. You are your own voyeur. And this is truly the insidious thing about the patriarchy. Individual women are almost never able to escape this little voice in their head that they should be trying to fit into what men want. Shave, wear makeup but don't make it too obvious, show a little more skin, lose weight, don't get gray hair or wrinkles, let the man speak, don't interrupt, etc., etc. And many times it's hard for women to imagine a life in this world outside of their designated role that is given to them on the silver screen and in magazines and now on social media as thin, hairless, demure, supportive girlfriends, sisters, and mothers. Because that's what a woman is, right? A male-crafted fantasy. Essentially, through the normalization of the male gaze, where the white cishet male worldview is the default way of viewing art, the world, and oneself, men have created not only a very narrow definition of womanhood, but also a world in which individual women can't escape the patriarchy even in their own minds. That's why sometimes the best way to subvert the patriarchy and the male gaze is to be unabashedly yourself, and that may mean being unapologetically feminine and girly, but it can also mean being unapologetically masculine or somewhere in between. Women should dress and present however they want without being accused of pandering to the male gaze, because if we start to conflate how women dress to their perceived intelligence or adherence to feminist ideals, it quickly leads down this dark path of, well, what were you wearing? Or you deserved it. No matter how you present as a woman, it doesn't matter because the male gaze doesn't hinge on being the most conservatively dressed person in the world, nor is it based on women choosing to present a certain way in their daily lives, but rather the male gaze is an entire system in history where men have been the subjects and women the objects. Your choice to present X way or Y way doesn't matter. Feminism isn't about your choices as an individual woman. If we do follow this logic that there is a right way to subvert or reject the male gaze, we ironically end up centering men and putting other women down. Saying that there is a right way to do feminism means that anyone who doesn't present as such is doing feminism wrong and is brainwashed by the patriarchy, when in reality there is no right way to be a feminist nor a right way to be a woman. This led to fourth wave feminists embracing the stereotypically feminine, which was usually derided not only by men, but by other women and so-called feminists. With fourth wave feminism came an acceptance of pink and being girly, but it also led to a lot of overcorrection in focusing on women's individual choices, hence this idea that the male gaze depends on one choosing to either appeal to heterosexual men or not. The course correction was so large that the pendulum ended up swinging in the other direction, and there were claims that said it's actually the women who reject traditional femininity that are brainwashed, and not like other girls have internalized misogyny, and thus ironically feminism, at least in the consumerist mainstream, ended up alienating women who didn't align themselves with femininity. And this leads me to my main point. You can't aestheticize feminism, and we have to stop trying to do so. Feminism has no singular aesthetic, and we should put an end to trying to create one. There's no correct way to dress as a woman to subvert the male gaze and patriarchy because it's a system that isn't upheld by women's individual choices or gender expressions, but by men who continually objectify women due to the way art and other media is made and how that affects our psyches in the real world. And this leads me to self-declared feminists like Katy Perry who continue to think that you can one-up the male gaze simply by choosing to do so, by dressing a certain way, and who blame women for perpetuating it when for women, they have no choice in their objectification. It will happen under the patriarchy regardless. When her and others like her misuse the term male gaze, they don't see it as a description of this system in which art is produced and viewed, or something that women have internalized and shapes how they see themselves, but rather they see the term male gaze and assume that it's about women trying to appeal to men, women dressing and presenting in certain ways to get men to look at them, to get their attention and approval, and that's bad. When in reality, women can dress for men without being villainized. If a woman wants attention from a heterosexual man, she can dress as such. Why is that a problem? There is a problem with unwanted attention from men, and men who objectify women, and who get angry when they get no for an answer. But the ridicule should go to the men for harassing women, not to women who may want a man's attention, but that doesn't mean her body is their property. But I think that way of thinking tends to go over people's heads because they think that if a woman dresses for a man or to attract male attention, she deserves whatever's coming to her. When no, that's not how that works. It's the men that need to learn to respect women no matter how they dress. And even if they want attention from men, that doesn't give you the right to slut shame them or call them stupid or say they deserve it. If a woman wants to attract a straight partner by dressing a certain way, let her be. Why mock her for pandering to the male gaze or being brainwashed by the patriarchy when that's not even what the male gaze is? In addition, even if a woman dresses in a way that does attract male attention, that doesn't mean she wants male attention, and doesn't mean she's asking for it. We associate women showing skin or wearing revealing clothing as asking for it, trying to be slutty for men, when in reality it's just clothes. And again, if we go down this route, then basically we're saying that women who dress conservatively can't get raped, or women who are stereotypically ugly can't experience harassment because they're covered up and ugly, when in reality the male gaze and the objectification of women has nothing to do with what a woman looks like or the clothes a woman decides to put on that day. Katy Perry says in her explanation that the hypersexualized appearance of her and the dancers in the first part of the music video is supposed to be ironic in that they don't care about the male gaze, but they totally do. Hence why they're dressed and photographed and framed in a way that pleases the supposed white cishet male viewer. She claims to be using irony and exaggeration to point out a problem with feminism today, even though they're dressed in 1940s Rosie the Riveter garb, which doesn't make much sense since that was a huge moment in the US for women's history, where women for the first time were able to make money for themselves and leave the domestic sphere. Basically what Perry is saying is that nowadays feminists claim that they're sexually empowered and enlightened, even displaying various sex toys in the first half of the video, but still dressed for the approval of men, hence the sarcastic comment she gives saying, "We're not about the male gaze." But as we just discussed at length, that's not what the male gaze is. Perry is mocking and satirizing women who say they're feminists on an individual basis, saying they're not about the male gaze, but then expose their chests. But the male gaze isn't about how women choose to present themselves. It's not about women's individual choices to dress either conservatively or provocatively. It's about how men are brought up in a world where they are the subjects, the viewers, and women are the passive objects to be looked at with no agency of their own. It's about the male filmmakers telling what wardrobe women can have, male directors framing them in compromising ways, taking advantage of women in the industry, the male actors being written to be in relationships with girls half their age, and the men watching, being able to live out their fantasies or for them what they grow up to see as normal, and for women internalizing all of this as normal too. The men gaze and the women are gazed upon. I find it really damning that Perry thinks this is what the male gaze is and that it's good satire to make fun of modern feminists who may dress a certain way because it leads down that insidious road where a woman's worth is based on how she presents to the world, and her belief in feminist ideals is based on how she dresses, when that's exactly what modern fourth wave feminists rally against. This idea that what a woman wears has any bearing on her intelligence, her moral character, or how much abuse she deserves. And for all of this poking fun at feminists who say they don't care about the male gaze but then dress sluttily, for lack of a better word, in the second part of the video, Perry doesn't go through some big costume change. The most she does to subvert male viewers' expectations is to do her makeup wrong. And then to conclude the video, she steals a black woman's ring light, which I guess could be satirizing how white women steal from black women. But is that even funny? Does it use humor to shine a light on a real problem? Or does it just try to be self-aware in order to hide from backlash? We know what we're doing is wrong and that's the joke. That's like the Big Bang Theory level of satire, and I don't mean that as a compliment. Even the commentary about how women are coerced into beauty regimens to stay wrinkle-free by using jade rollers makes no sense in a video where they never really make fun of that. The most they do is attempt to mock pop feminist rhetoric like "you go girl" and "girl boss," but to what end? When the lyrics of the song are literally saying women are superhuman. I just don't get it. Not to mention slogans that girls can do anything or "you go girl" aren't cringe, like it's important for girls to internalize that rhetoric. What's unhealthy is putting women as a group on a pedestal and declare that they're special solely because they're sisters, mothers, and people who have uteruses and who give birth, because not all women have uteruses and not all women give birth or want to be a mom. And I'm sorry, but why are the sex toys in the first part of the video that's supposed to be making fun of modern girl boss feminists? If the video is supposed to read like Perry says, making fun of the modern feminist movement for saying they're empowered by dressing and revealing clothing, then why aren't the sex toys in the second part? Clearly, the use of sex toys is supposed to be empowering, so why are they juxtaposed with the fake feminists? One part I do get as satire is the part with the whiskey for women and that women don't need to be empowered the same way men are, with power tools and hard alcohol, but the rest of it makes zero sense. And also, why can't women be empowered by working with power tools and working in construction? What's wrong with that? I can see where it possibly gets problematic with women building bombs for the war machine and military equipment, but at the same time, women working with power tools isn't in and of itself an anti-feminist image. image. I can get behind the idea that women don't need to be empowered the same way men say they should be, nor the same way men are empowered, which I see could be an argument for the first part of the video, but I also think that reading is giving it too much grace. I know I'm looking really deeply into this whole thing when in reality there isn't much substance or thought put into any of it, but it's supposed to be satire and be making statements about feminism and women, and I care about those things, so I want it to mean something, but in the end it really is just all meaningless. They threw this together as some sort of think piece trying to hop on what's left of pop feminism, and I hope this is the final nail in the coffin. I feel like in a subtle way, maybe they were trying to make fun of the Barbie movie by showing that a woman's world doesn't have to be perfectly organized. It can be chaotic and women can do masculine things like drive monster trucks, and that a woman's world is distinctly different from a man's world and isn't just pink. But I feel like, again, that's giving it too much grace and me looking way too deeply into it. Part 2. Stupid Girls and Pink. When I watched Woman's World, I immediately thought of Barbie, like I previously mentioned, but I was also reminded of Pink's Stupid Girls from my own childhood and girlhood, as it was one of my first entries into pop feminist satire. The song and video itself is infamous at this point, but to give you a snippet, here's part of the lyrics that give you a good gist of what the song is about. The song's lyrics go, "What happened to the dream of a girl president? She's dancing in the video next to 50 Cent. They travel in packs of 2 and 3 with their itsy bitsy doggies and their teeny weeny tees. Where oh where have the smart people gone? Oh where could they be? Maybe if I act like that guy will call me back. Porno paparazzi girls, I don't want to be a stupid girl." And at the end of the video, it illustrates a girl watching TV deciding to play with a football rather than a Barbie doll. The song and the video itself is a display of Pink's anxieties about modern girls and women, much like Perry claims Woman's World is, as a satire of the modern feminist movement. Pink's worried that today's girls are being influenced out of politics and sports and non-traditionally female fields by trash TV that only valorizes vapid bimbos and celebrities, which Pink isn't, by the way. And here lies in my main problem with the song and video. It does the same thing as Woman's World in that Pink tries to aestheticize feminism against what they mistakenly see as the male gaze. For Pink, in the song and video, the male gaze is any woman helping to uplift the patriarchy by adhering to traditional femininity and pursuing beauty and male acceptance, either because they're literally just stupid or because they're pretending to be stupid in order to dumb themselves down for men. That's a popular interpretation I see in a lot of comments underneath the music video that we'll get into later, and that's bad. Women shouldn't do that. Where are the smart women? Pink asks. Where oh where could they be? For example, in the video, Pink mocks a woman for wearing an inflatable bra to get a man's attention, and I'm sorry, but who cares? Yes, women sometimes want male attention. That's not the problem, nor what the male gaze is. And the problem isn't women being slutty or exploiting themselves and dumbing themselves down either, as Pink suggests, but rather a system that thrives on the exploitation of women. The song and video make no reference to the fact that the male gaze only exists because men do, because straight men are the default subject. Not to mention she's making fun of girls who, at the time, were in their early 20s, and many of whom were child stars and victims of celebrity exploitation. Though I don't feel too bad for Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, who were born wealthy and didn't need a reality show or to be even more rich and famous. But it is important to remember that they and others who were mocked in the video were suffering from eating disorders and body image issues, and it wasn't because they were stupid or pretending to be stupid or however you wish to justify the direction of the video. Though I think Stupid Girls was made with more intention and works better as satire than Woman's World, I still think a lot of it feels mean-spirited, and I find it really hard to defend the song and video today. I especially dislike this message that there is a right way to be a girl, and though rejecting traditional femininity and what's expected of you is radical, that's also not the only right way to be, nor will it save you as a woman from the patriarchy or male gaze. But to give Pink credit, I do like the part where she criticizes plastic surgery and the subtle commentary of exploiting women in art, specifically in music videos, but in my opinion, we should be focusing more on the men rather than these so-called stupid girls. And to quote Pink, so what if some girls dumb themselves down for men or get by on their looks? I feel like that's the biggest defense of the video today that again I see a lot in the comments. Pink's just making a point about how girls could be swayed down the wrong path by following these celebrities. She's not saying the celebrities parodied are stupid, but rather they're just not reaching their full potential or holding themselves back. And honestly, I find a lot of these top comments to be really infantilizing, so let's go through them. The top comment with 23,000 likes is, is, this song isn't insulting girls just because they change themselves. It's insulting girls who change themselves just to get attention from men. It encourages girls to be true to themselves and what they really want, which I guess is to play football. I honestly really dislike this line of thinking that what's shown in the video is obviously what girls don't actually want. How do you know what all girls really want? And some girls, I hate to break it to you, do want to be sexy in music videos and wear revealing clothing and makeup and be around men, and to insinuate that girls who want those things are stupid or fake because obviously no woman would ever want that is demeaning. I think it's actually anti-feminist as well as unrealistic to believe that all women will be liberal and feminist if they just stopped being stupid, or to believe that all women must have these lofty philanthropic or non-sexual desires or non-selfish desires. Some women sure don't want what's depicted, obviously, but again, to insinuate that the women who do just need to be in line with feminism is reductive. I again hate to break it to you, but some women are male chauvinistic pigs and you won't be in community with all of them, and that's okay. In fact, there are some women out there that even declare themselves to be feminists and girl bosses while stealing women's designs, exploiting laborers, and making millions if not billions on women's insecurities, and are totally fine with that. And that I do think is worth critiquing. But I also think that we shouldn't reduce women like this to just stupid and dumbing themselves down or trying to appear less intelligent for clout, but rather see them as individuals with agency who are making clear choices in where they stand. Of course, not all women have the same choices, which is why we can't base feminism on choices. But at the same time, to say that women who are oppressed or women who oppress others as not having a say in the matter in their position is taking away a woman's autonomy and humanity. I think it's actually more feminist to be okay with this idea that not all women are going to be feminist and see women as people with agency who aren't just brainwashed by the patriarchy or stupid and deserving of ridicule for wanting to be stereotypically feminine or receive attention from men. Another popular comment and interpretation of the song reads, "The song holds the message of girls being valuable individuals as they are without changing themselves under the pressure of mainstream standards, which can make you stray away from what you originally want and damage you." It was really empowering and confidence boosting to listen to as a little girl. And I'm not here to take that away from you. I too was a young girl when this came out and I liked it well enough. But this comment has the same sentiment as the last one that really grinds my gears, which is that the pressure of mainstream standards can make you stray away from what you originally want and damage you. And though I'm sure there are women out there pretending to like things that they might not actually enjoy just to fit in or just for men, I also think that's really again infantilizing for girls and women, as if women can't think for themselves and see beyond these images, nor can the women and girls depicted see and think for themselves. The women depicted in the video are business savvy and can think for themselves. For all the dumb women parodied in this video, the Olsen twins really have the last laugh as they're girl bosses and owners of the luxury fashion brand The Row. They're not stupid in the slightest, and what makes them seem stupid? The way they dress, their dogs, their interest in fashion. Did that all sway them from what they really want? And though, as one commenter put it, young girls won't know that this is all an act, stating she's criticizing their facade, hiding their intelligence to come off as submissive or cute for lucrative gain, the damage is young girls watching the shows like The Simple Life and aspiring to become that are unaware that it's an act. And honestly, I just think we need to trust the intelligence of girls and women to unlearn these things and teach media literacy. I just think we need to give girls and women more credit and grace and know that they can think for themselves, not only the girls doing the viewing, but the girls and women making and crafting their own image. Women can grow and mature with time, and maybe they will blossom into feminist girl bosses, and maybe they won't. But that's up to them. Sure, I do agree that these images can be damaging to some degree that these women have perpetuated throughout their careers, but I don't know, does everything a woman does need to turn into a think piece? Like, are these celebrity women's lives the most pressing issue at hand if some women choose to present in an inappropriate manner? Or is a bigger issue the pattern of exploitation and abuse that simultaneously rewards and punishes women who achieve mass fame and wealth through their sex appeal? The last comment that got under my skin was this one. "It's okay to be girly. I think this video is just a reminder to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons." Okay. Don't throw away your personality and ambition, especially to become some guy's object. Like, again, make sure you're being girly for the right reasons. Is there a right reason to be girly? Why can't women just be girly and that be the end of it? Why is the wrong reason to be girly attached to being with a man romantically? Do these commenters think that throwing away your personality and ambitions means that you'll turn into a girly girl who doesn't have those things? Or doing it for the wrong reasons. Wasn't there a whole movie debunking this entire thing where girls can be girly while also still having larger career goals? But also, not all women do have grand career plans, and that's okay too. A woman's worth isn't based on their ambitious careers and capital, if they do sports, if they care or don't care about appearances. And it's a shame that pop feminism reduces feminism to aesthetics, rather than accepting all women for who they are and judging women on their politics and beliefs and actions rather than what they look like or how they express their gender identity. And sure, some women do intentionally dumb themselves down to get what they want from men and for lucrative gain, but is that so bad? I guess it could be seen as bad if famous and influential women do it because it means that they're swaying other women to do the same, and it's wrong to rig the system, but is it? The system is already pitted against them, why not play it? Pink's right in that we do live in a society where women who are conventionally attractive and pursue beauty and men get famous. But she's wrong in that they're stupid for being part of the system or intellectually inferior for not pursuing feminist ideals. In reality, maybe there's an entire industry based on female exploitation made by men to cater to the heterosexual male gaze. And again, to quote Pink, so what? A woman knows she's sexy and beautiful and knows men like that. Why are they the devil? It reminds me of Penny from The Big Bang Theory, who's villainized for getting by on her looks when it's the men who are willingly going out of their way to be with her while also constantly negging her. Like, at the end of the day, I don't blame Pink because hindsight is 2020. She didn't know what these girls were going through. She herself was only 27 at the time of the music video's release. It was a different time in feminism and for women in general. But I do think the sentiments in the video and song are outdated, particularly this idea that there's a right way to be a feminist and a right way to present as a woman in order to beat the patriarchy, because that leads to slut shaming and victim blaming and accusations of stupidity because a girl likes to play with dolls or wears revealing clothing. As for the fears of girls looking up to these women as role models and Pink's anxieties, I think we'd all be better off if we give girls more credit and stop thinking that all girls are brainwashed or can't think for themselves or are throwing away their true potential by being girly or changing themselves for a guy. Girls and women can think for themselves and make their own choices, and maybe they're not feminist, but feminism isn't based on choices. It's a political ideology, and it's unrealistic to believe that all women will make feminist choices 100% of the time, and that all women will end up being feminists if they just stop being girly for the wrong reasons. Of course, there's something to be said about girls copying Girls Gone Wild or wanting to be like the Kardashians, but what can I say? Some girls and women are influenced by that and idolize that, and there's really nothing you can do to change that because, again, not all women are feminists. I hate to break it to you, but that's life. Women are their own subjects, and calling them stupid probably won't help. I do believe that we as a society need to end celebrity culture and exploitation, as well as produce more art that doesn't center men, but the fact that women are rewarded for being sexually promiscuous on screen is a lie. If anything, it dehumanizes them for the viewer, and they get punished by men and other women for being sluts and stupid. If anything, it really damages their career. Maybe there's a financial incentive, but shouldn't there be one for doing something again that's so risky and so taboo and so unfeminist? Conclusion. In all, I think we just need to stop conflating the male gaze with women dressing to appeal to straight men because they're not the same thing. The male gaze is a system that sets up men in society and art as the subject, the hero of their own story, and women as set pieces and accessories. The male gaze in art and in the real world objectifies women, and no amount of choices in how you present yourself in the world as a woman will change that. And no matter how much skin you choose to show or not show has any bearing on your intelligence, your belief in feminism, or if you deserve ridicule or abuse from women or men. Conversely, if you dress to attract male attention, that in and of itself is not the male gaze, nor does it mean you deserve to be slut-shamed. The male gaze does define what straight men find appealing in women and therefore does influence how you dress to attract male attention, but it doesn't have any bearing on whether your body's up for grabs, but rather women can dress for men while simultaneously being respected by said men. We need to stop microanalyzing what women are wearing and how they're presenting and instead critique the way men act around women and depict them in media, on film, and online. And going back to Katy Perry, fuck her for working with a known abuser and rapist. Shame on her, and stream Kesha's new single Joyride. In the end, Perry is the last person who should be making feminist satire when she herself isn't even close to being one. And as for stupid girls, I think some of you need to take off your nostalgia goggles, but that's just me. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, but if you want to add more to this conversation, I'd love to read what you have to say. These are just my own thoughts, and it's always interesting to get some other perspective perspectives. My next video essay will be out next month and will be about declinism as it pertains to US cultural and political identity. So thank you so much for watching. A huge thank you to my amazing patrons, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.